New to A-level chemistry is a great course if you're starting out teaching A-level. If you're an experienced teacher or if you're a new teacher to the profession, you'll find something to challenge and support you in your journey. It covers subject knowledge and pedagogy alongside what do students commonly find difficult in the subject and what misconceptions might underpin that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the CPAC criteria. So I've done you a little grid with all the CPAC criteria on. And I'm going to give you a really brief, stripped back method for some organic tests. Okay? So I have given you a method. I'm very generous that way. I've given you a method, but I haven't included the other things that you would generally get on a required practical instruction. So there is no risk assessment on there. And I want you to imagine, as a student, you've been given this to risk assess that you're going to do in the next lesson. And I want you to plan, what are you going to do? What risks are you going to mitigate? What are you going to do? What eye protection are you going to wear? Is there anything else that needs to be in place? And sort of go through and do those organic tests, taking the observations down. You don't have to put them in a lovely neat table, but think about how you're going to guide students towards making those observations that are actually going to be the ones that we want. So we were talking yesterday about it's gone white is not as effective as saying we've got a white precipitate being produced, those sorts of comments. So I've done you the CPAC list. Okay. Got those ones to have a look at. And we talked about some of them being sort of maybe a little bit more difficult to assess. So think about which ones does this really lend itself to? Because you might go to like, oh, well, the first one's dead easy, but we know we can assess some of those in every single thing we do. Whereas some of them are a bit more niche, so those making observations aren't something that you're going to be able to do in every single one. So maybe you zoom in on one of the CPACs and try and focus on that in the lesson, but I also want you to consider that risk assessment. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of thinking time to have a look at it, but have a look at what you're being asked to do. And if you can try and work in a methodical manner and a safe manner based on what you
There's no go between C-night, let's say excellent, putting what's ethanol instead of ethanol.
Yeah.
And that might just be a case of, okay, that's really clear, that's one way of not mixing them up, because
sort of
what happens when you play
experimental stations rather than...
Yeah. But is that a case of you setting up as the teacher, or if they're figuring that out, that could be one set of it's easy to fully look at the risks.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with kind of like modelling it for them in front, so and then they can kind of monkey see like you do. What's it called? Slow practical? Alan Box's slow practical thing?
You can see how we sort of laid it out. There is a label saying what is the test for by the side, and it is grouped together. But yeah, you're right. It would be an interesting. But then you've spotted actually something that could easily potentially go wrong. Mixing up ethanol and ethanol would be very easy to do. So actually, if that is crucial to the safety of that practical, that's sort of for you as well. If you're going to check something you would zoom in on, that would be your beeline. I'm going to just check they've done that before we go any further. I'm just going to make sure and just be clear in my head. And then you could reinforce it by saying, I'm glad to see you've used the ethanol
instead of this. Yeah.
Okay, are you nearly ready to start, or are you? We'd love to welcome you on our intensive course at our purpose-built centre in York soon.